Here's a person who exemplifies a journey of many corporate leaders who are successful in not just building a business empire, but most importantly, creating more leaders. One such master of leadership is our guest today. Please join me in a conversation I'm having today with Mr. Sanjeev Prabhu, the Managing Director of Liz Montagens India Private Limited, based out of Mumbai. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to Ground Zero Everyday Leaders. They say that true leaders don't create followers, they create more leaders. And the gentleman whom I have today as my guest for Ground Zero episode number 7 is Mr. Sanjeev Prabhu, the Managing Director of Liz Montagens India Private Limited. Sanjeev, welcome to the show. It's a privilege to have you.
Good evening, Alan. It's a real pleasure. We met very recently, but then the progress that you have taken up on this project of yours is amazing, and I look forward to a very exciting evening.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So let us, in fact, without much ado, dig straight into it, sir. Sanjeev, I often begin with the beginning of any person, and I would like to I like for you to touch base on your early life and a little bit on education, probably, if you can throw light in as to how you have reached to where you are today.
Okay, great. I mean, as you are rightly, put it, early childhood shapes of the life of an individual to a very great extent, no doubt. I'm the eldest of three siblings.
Yes.
And my parents came to Mumbai very young to look out for careers, right? And their dreams were that children, like any parents of today, the children have to be highly educated and better than what they were. So I got admission in a convent school and probably a little bit of convent schools, which is my schooling from KG till 7th was in Sacred Hearts in Santa Cruz, city of Mumbai. Then 8th to 10th, we shifted to Borivali, so it was in Don Bosco's. Probably I've been, lucky to get the best of what we call discipline in life.
Mm-hmm.
Very important in schools. We had to play sports, PT classes. Then there was something called moral science and religion. So a systematic education system, which I was lucky to get, shaped up an all-round approach, if I would say that, to life. We had education competitions, we had fancy dress competitions. So it was not just about reading books. Yes, education is about getting good scores, but we had an all-round development. So maybe, thanks to my parents, we were put in the best schools. And yes, it shaped a lot. So you had more friends, then of course outdoor sports. Now we see a lot of these shots of WhatsApp coming up. We used to play marbles, gilli danda, pakada pakadi, which is nowhere to be seen now.
Yes.
So there was more of teamwork, competitive spirit in a different way.
Correct.
Nowadays the young generation don't even play the game, they don't even know the games that we play.
True.
So if you really ask me, the foundations were built in the school days and the young life of like 0 to 15. So team spirit, playing, interacting, competition, all that was part of these activities that we did.
Right. Now we can see that culture growing within you when you exhibit that in your day-to-day functioning of the corporate world right now you are in.
Absolutely, absolutely, no doubt. I mean, the question was so relevant that yes, the early lifehood shapes to what you are.
True, true. Well, Sanjeev, since we have started the journey, let's get a little bit more deeper into it. You worked in the Middle East.
Yeah,
You also had experience working in the Far East.
yeah,
Then, today's business calls you to be associated with international partners, domestic players.
correct.
That's a wide spectrum of people that you're dealing with.
Yes.
How's that experience, and what difference do you find in the various spectra of people that you meet in your day-to-day
Wow, that's a good question. Probably I can talk for days on this.
life? True.
But yes, before that, I would like to say that as I graduated as a chemical engineer, I had very good scores. When I say scores, I could have got into a company like Larsen and Toubro based on my merit.
Right.
Big company, big conglomerate. But I decided to work in a medium construction company called Petron Engineering. That's where I started my career in 87, 88. Primarily because that applies to the youth of today, that where do I start my job? A big company, a good salary, but you are being compartmentalized into a department.
Yeah.
When I grew in Petron Engineering, I had to do every aspect of the project management business,
Right.
which today is coming handy because I've done every aspect of my business when I in those first 6 years.
Right.
I could have got a job abroad. I could have gone to the US, but no, I was very clear in what I wanted. So after having worked 6 years, I went, yes, as you rightly said, I worked in the Far East for 1 year. I worked in the Middle East for 1 year. I went out to check out the world at that time. I'm talking about 93 to 95.
Right.
I didn't go. But yes, being an Indian and my heart lied in India, correct? And both these places, interestingly, it was not for the salary. My first condition was family accommodation. And I was one of the lucky guys in both the countries that I worked on a project for one year. I got family accommodation
Right.
because, yeah, being with family, we all work for money, we all work for our ambitions, but I place family as a priority, right? So yes, I saw the outside world at that time. Now that time it was an easy life, I would say, right? Chauffeur-driven car, cabin, everything going great. But the biggest advantage I got was the professionalism in our business, contracting business, which I say existed in the Middle East and Far East even in those days.
True.
So if you ask me between the Indian business scenario and Middle East or Far East, what I learned from the expats or the professional companies which did business there was that they looked at our contracting business that I run in India now in a very professional manner. Contracts were honored. So I carried a lot of the systems, the culture, the planning, project management and planning is so critical. Safety at site. We are dealing with human beings, and in India, we all know it. Sorry to say, but you know it. If one or two, incidents happen, it's okay. I mean, it's not gone to now. Yes, in the last maybe 4 or 5 years in our business, it's say safety has taken over everything. But in those days, 95, 2000, 2005, it was not so great. Whereas in the Middle East and Far East, that actually helped me to set up the systems when I started Les Montage in India in 2010.
Well, it resonates to a lot of things that I've learned in my path in my career as well, Sanjeev. And certainly, I think one of the things that I picked up from that little discussion that you had or little message that you relayed, family remains your priority. And that is most important. I think that every human should carry. I know people in the Middle East often, struggle with that. And many of them are not having that privilege of having the families with them. But you are absolutely dot on. You need to have your family wherever you are, and you need to keep that as your priority mission.
They're the backbone.
Absolutely. Sanjeev, you did touch base on teamwork in your earlier talk, and I would like you to emphasize a little more on how important teamwork is when it comes to a substantially large organization such as Liz, because I think you run an employee number of around 260 plus in the office, and then you have more than almost nearing 3,000 people working skilled labor on and technicians on site. So that's a vast number, and you certainly want to have team activities or other teamwork as your focus or your core message across the board.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, okay, any company may have systems, values, culture, all that is beautiful. All the big companies have it, maybe manuals, if I have to use that word. But at the end of the day, any system, any value system is going to run by human beings.
Yes.
It is the human beings who have to follow the systems. So if that is not done, any big organization can crumble.
True. True.
So the key success that I've always created in the initial 3 to 4 years when I set up Liz Motors is because as a leader of this team, as the MD of the company, I was very clear that the value systems that my experience of 20 years before, I had to percolate it obviously to my first level of leadership, and that has to be duplicated down the level. So I used to have long meetings with my team. In any company like ours, it is called EPC, which is engineering, procurement, and construction. There are three arms of the teamwork and three arms of success. I have seen my experience in the larger conglomerates where the file on my table, once gone from my construction, I belong to the construction department, it will go to the procurement department.
Mhm.
We were told, let the file come back, then we will talk. Yes, it looks like a government department, because it's his responsibility and my responsibility. One of the key things I've done in my company from beginning is that the project leader is responsible for the E, P, and C. So we don't distinguish anything between the three departments, although each department has a business head or a leader or a manager. So it's very clear that the work at the end needs to be done. I'm very client centric. So any issues related to the client has to be sorted out by the leader, which is the project head. And I've spent a lot of time training them and ensuring that they duplicated the values, the systems, the ethics. In our business, and you've been in the same business, today, quality, safety, and delivery. These are words which are spoken. You pick up any presentation of any company, these three are written.
Absolutely.
And you can write as much as you can, but do you really follow that in principle? I'm very glad and proud of my team that we mean every bit of what we talk about quality, safety, and timely delivery. So today, if you're looking at the growth story, trust me, I also never imagined that I would be leading 3,000 employees at site. Going from a company that we are just refractory installation contractors to now, the latest is we are ending up into maybe even operating and maintaining a part of the plant, which has never been our core business. So where does it come from? It comes from the confidence of this so-called teamwork. The teamwork, I would believe, is the single largest factor for success. Because human beings, हम बोलते हैं कि पांचों उंगलियां same नहीं है, and it's a fact. In an organization, human beings are not the same. So how do you? So for me, communication is the key. Talk it out. If you have a problem with any team member, please sit down over a tea or coffee, sort it out. I never let anybody write emails against each department. For me, it's a flare-up situation. So I'm very focused that we talk. So
that sounds like a very, very nice little house that you're running out straight.
Absolutely. Yes. If you talk to any of my employees, we say we are a big family.
Super, super.
So the
So,
word
well,
family extends from what I have as my core value from my family.
mhm,
Now this is an extended family.
right, right. Well, together everyone achieves more, and you truly resemble that, and your company does. Um, and it brings us to that aspect, which is also adding a lot of force into the Indian corporate world and industry, and contributes to a large extent, is the space of learning and development.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
believe in L&D, and how much do you incorporate that in your corporate affairs?
Oh, today, if I have to say on a very philosophical level, early age, yes, one more aspect of my personal development is I've been a very avid reader of personal development books, personality development. I've done a lot of self training or self development training ever since I was maybe in 1920s.
Right.
It's a time when many people run behind girls. I prefer to run behind books and develop my personality to understand how you deal with human beings. Now, unfortunately, our education system doesn't teach us that. So, but there are a lot of programs, like the program you're taking up with the youth. It's something like that, which I kept doing at an early age. So now what I do with my team is I have coaches like you. I have another coach come in because what I can give when a third person comes, a trainer, a professional coach, is bringing in. So we bring a lot of activities. We do a lot of team activities. We do something on mind training.
Mhm.
What is your ambition versus the corporate ambition? How do we link the two? Then, of course, on the other side, we take care of our employees, providing them with all kinds of insurance paid by the company, unlike typical corporates where it's part of the CTC. So all our medical insurance, all our accident claims, term policies are all paid by separately by the company. The small things which make every employee feel us to be part. And I'm proud to say my attrition rate is below 5%.
Super, super. Well, it actually shows that, and you often, as a leader and a manager, have a lot of difficult decisions to make. The famous quote by Ratan Tata ji: "I don't believe in the right decisions. I take decisions and make them right." I think that's something that every leader must follow, and especially a business such as yours.
Yes, absolutely. The next I've learned in my previous companies, the more you grow on top, people get more and more worried about their position and the chair. The best thing I've been telling my team guys is this chair is available to you. Please take it. And they look at me and understand, sir, why did you say like this? I said, if you grab my chair, the only way I can grow is grow higher. Maybe my board will allow me to run three different companies or three different territories. So
Absolutely.
very important for the leaders below you not to feel threatened. I believe in empowerment. I believe in allowing them to take decisions. I've seen a lot in the corporate worlds where you'll be pulled up very easily for a mistake.
Yes.
And I've always learned, I've been fortunate in my career, I was never pulled up. I was always told my bosses, go and commit a mistake. You learn only by committing a mistake. So I allowed my boys, I allowed it, of course, too early in the day, which is in the first 4 or 5 years of this company, is learn by mistakes. But important message is only make this mistake the first time. Take it, and then you know what you have done and never try to repeat it. And trust me, the message when you drill it down, it goes. And the beauty is a leader needs that kind of empowerment. Okay, if you use the word controls, yes, control. And that's how I've developed. So I have 4 business units and I have those 4 leaders already created. So
Super.
you have one Sanjeev sitting there as an MD, but I have 4 Sanjeevs already created at the top level. So that's how the story is. The first 4 years, we are at 25, 30 crores. And then suddenly every year on year, we have almost for the last 3 years, 100% turnover.
Well, now the viewers would have actually really understood why I use that introduction lines in the show today. True leaders don't create followers; they create more leaders.
Absolutely.
And it also shows, Sanjeev, that you have a big heart for philanthropical works. And I'm sure you are attached to many. But how important is, how important is it for the leaders to give back to the society? I mean, we don't necessarily have to use the word philanthropical.
Yeah.
It's just giving back, right?
Correct.
And I think corporate leaders have a lot to give back.
Oh, yes. I do believe, see, whatever I have got, learned, I can keep it with myself and go along with it wherever I have to go. One day it will end. But if I can give what I have learned to the society, I'm talking of learning in terms of academics,
Yes.
running a company, creating 4 leaders. That's the only way I can take this company to the next level from 150 crores to 500 crores. Can I do it alone? No, it's just not possible. That's not part of teamwork.
Right.
So if I have to grow it, I have to give back. Now, giving back has got a big thing from philanthropy to knowledge. People, as I was telling a little while before, giving out knowledge, people feel threatened.
Yeah.
I have seen miracles happening by giving knowledge. It's an empowerment which an employee takes with confidence. It develops a confidence. It develops him to face the client, face the world. So giving back to the society is a huge subject. And that's where my family comes into play. My parents always taught me these very strong values. You give one and you get back 4. So I always see the more we are giving it to the service to the clients, that client has left and joined another company. He's only carried good memories about Liz Montagens. And today, I'm proud to say again, we are getting inquiries from such clients who have left their organization, and obviously they've left it to get a bigger post in another organization. They are in powers of position. So imagine what's happening. You have given a good service, a good value, and you're getting it automatically. Just last week, I get a inquiry from one of my clients who was in India. He goes to Middle East, ADNOC. Everybody knows how difficult it is to work in ADNOC. You may take 2 years to only get registered.
Yes, yes.
He knows what kind of quality work and very critical work we do. Trust me, he's not only got us registered, he has made us tie up with a local company who's registered with ADNOC, not in our business, but we are trying to talk business. I believe these are miracles. You give it and you get back from corners, and God always gives something from areas which you just cannot believe. So I have many miracles to talk like this.
Absolutely gorgeous to hear that, Sanjeev. And you are already up there, and people are already looking up at you as someone as a role model. Many are, and but yet I would like to ask you this question: do you have a role model?
Yes. Early on in my life, my first cousins, my aunt, means my dad's elder sister's husband, at that time, he was the finance head of Burma Shell, which is now BPCL refinery.
Right.
So I have a lot of first cousins who are very highly educated. So my first cousin, I will name him, is Jagdish Kini. Very, very aggressive, ambitious, and he used to be in companies. He was in the FMCG sector, and his goal was very clear. I need to replace my boss. And he did that in many companies, right? He had very clear when he was young, and I was seeing him, right, that I will retire at 50. And he retired at 50 as the director on the board with Airtel.
Amazing.
Today, of course, incidentally, he's also Six Sigma coach in personal development. He's giving it back to society. He's based in Bangalore. And truly, we are like 12 years younger. So I've spent a lot of time in the vacations time in their house. So yes, so I could see somebody growing in the corporate ladder in front of my eyes. And we used to discuss a lot. So I believe if anybody has to have a role model, yes, it's nice to say Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, all that is great. They are all history. You read it. But I believe a role model one should choose if it is professional for professional purpose, if it's spiritual. Again, there's a role model in terms of a spiritual leader. I believe that you must pick up a role model whom you can follow their path. So I was lucky enough to have my first cousin who's been absolutely successful, and he kept his word. Like he retired at 50, he plays golf all the time and then spends his nice time giving it back to the society full time. That's amazing.
Well, I look forward to having a conversation with Mr. Kinney one fine day.
Oh, yes, he's on many talk shows already.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Great stuff, Sanjeev. You did speak about your early hobbies, Gilly Danda, and all those on-road games and activities.
I was a champion in marbles. You remember some small
Gotiyan khelte the.
बहुत ज़्यादा. In fact, I used to call myself a champion in those days, and I believe, schooling, after schooling means at the age of 14, we could not play. Then you go into engineering and all. I did not let go my, I think, 10,000 marbles till about 3 years after I got married. So you can imagine how much I carried. 15 long years I carried those marbles. They were my prized possessions.
Well, we used to go back home during our good old days to Sirsi, where my dad comes from. And my cousins used to play this game of Gilly Danda. And they used to start from one gully.
Yeah.
And the gilly used to roll all over the city. And it was amazing. See?
Those days, we never owned a cycle.
Yeah.
Entire vacation, we would, cycle shop will open at 9 in the morning, and like we are 8, 9 friends because he had only 10 cycles, and we would grab it, we would push hard, and cycle 25 paise for half an hour in those days.
True.
Now the kids are fortunate. They have gear-driven cycles. They have whatnot. Today life is easier for the young generation, but I believe they've never, they get it so easy. So it becomes our responsibility as parents to teach the value of life, value of money. I think we are spoiling our children by giving them on the platter. I believe so. So, like my kids, they never had a mobile till the 10th standard. They never had it. They only took it because they had to go for the extra classes, or my daughter used to learn karate, so she used to go for karate classes between 8 and 9 in the evening. That's the only time we gave them a simple mobile. Make calls. Not these Android phones where you get everything. So value of money and life, I think, is very critical that we pass on to the next generation also.
Yes, there's so much to learn from what you've just said. Sanjeev, there's that question doesn't go away. Have you retained any of your hobbies?
Yeah.
Have you retained any of your hobbies?
Oh, good question. Yes. The only hobby that I do now is reading. Right. I still read a lot of books on personal development because responsibilities have increased.
Yes.
And at time when I go on holidays, I do play table tennis. That's one game I used to relish because that was a mentally challenging game. You have to keep the ball on the table and then devise strategies at the same time. How will you beat your... So table tennis was one of my favorite outdoor or indoor, whatever game, which kept me very agile. But truly speaking, yes, with the life that I have now, 15, 20 days traveling across the globe, it makes it difficult. But yeah, reading is one thing I keep doing now.
Well, you almost resemble a table tennis ball yourself, being rolling from one part of the world to the other. One last thing that remains, and most important aspect, and you did touch base upon how important it is already, safety. And you have so many people, your technicians on site, on field, and safety of these personnel surely plays on your mind. And it's kind of a day-to-day concern for you because, as you already have said, they are a big, vast family for you. How do you how do you make sure that everything on site is 100%?
See, safety is an attitude. It's not a placard on site. Here, I would also like to say,
Well said. Yeah.
in my earlier companies, it was word of only lip service. You put those banners, you put have a safety day, but the culture was not there. So we have a lot of incidents. Correct. I've seen it growing. But here, the first thing I have done in this company is the safety managers at site report to me directly. So in the construction business, there's always a pressure on delivery on time. So what happens is you tend to keep the safety SOPs at the site and tend to do the work, which obviously results in accidents. I've always believed safety and housekeeping is so critical. It adds to the productivity. And that I've spent a lot of time. The first thing I go in the site is audit for safety. So safety has been a very culture, and I'm proud to say again, I mean, if you want to visit my office, you'll see around 30, 40 trophies. Safety is one thing, a trophy that I need to get, and that is the achievement of my employees. That is return home safe every single day. Today, human life is more important than business.
Very true.
Right? So, safety, I am very strict on safety. I don't tolerate any deviation.
Well, there's so much to learn, and I'm sure the viewers today would have learned absolutely a huge, humongous message coming and from the words that you've spoken today, Sanjeev. Well, I'm sure 100%. Sanjeev Prabhu, please keep giving back to the world. Keep giving back to your company and to people, because I know some day or the other you are going to empower the world even further with your own experience and learning through youth education and so much things that would actually motivate young leaders to come forward and like your cousin said, Mr. Kinney, take the leader's position, because that should be the goal that you should really put in front of you. There's a quote by Bill Gates. He said, as we look ahead into the century, leaders will be, those who empower others. And I think I could, I have known you for a while now, but for those who see this program, would have heard the word empower quite a few times coming from you. And please keep giving and empowering the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Empowerment is the simplest thing you can give. And the next word will be magic. It's always creative. So please give back, give back, give back. And it will unfold.
Sanjeev, so it was a pleasure to have you on the show today. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks. Thank you, Alan. It was a real pleasure. And any way that I can contribute to your program, I'm so associated. I'd love to contribute back to the youth. I do a lot of talks in engineering colleges. I've had my own NGO with 10 friends, giving it back into the society, help them. I've sponsored some, children who could not afford. So they've grown into professional. One is a CA, one is an engineer. So they are slum children. So little things to give back. The joy that you see, there are many people out there who cannot afford. The only thing we can do little is give back to the society in whatever way. And the joy and blessings that you get in return, trust me. In fact, I believe truly that the blessings that I have from many admirers around me keeps me going to the next level.
Fantastic. So keep going, Sanjeev, and keep giving again. And God bless, and thanks once again.
Thank you. It was my pleasure sharing a little bit of my story, and I hope and I'm sure it can create some impact on the viewers that you are.
Many. I assure you will be inspired. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.